the new Circle K fueling station, pump 9 at the moment, getting the truck initially topped off, 87 octane here in Columbus, Indiana. Gonna establish initially that full tank. We'll let it click off, give it a little bit, and then top it off again, and then we'll get started with our towing test after this. Alright, so we have our 2022 GMC 2500 HD with the 6.6 liter gas V8 engine, the L8T engine. Right now we have the Cooper Discoverer AT3 XLT tires in the I believe 275 65 R20 size. So this was a little bigger than the stock tires, and I've always wondered if that had an impact on the fuel economy. The initial plan was we would test that out, pulling our 42-foot fifth wheel with these tires as well as the original set of tires, but high winds today, there have been some semi-truck rollovers, so I'm going to go with plan B, and we're going to test the truck only. So we'll check back in a little bit and see how we're doing. The truck is initially topped off. We'll run a route, go back to the same pump, top it off, and see what our baseline fuel economy is. Alright, so we're just getting started on the fuel economy run. Just gotten a couple miles from home. Using Google Maps navigation so that I can do an apples to apples true speed. We were on a 55 two-lane road, Highway 31. We're going to get up on I-65, go south. We'll similarly set the cruise, so we're heading about 75 mile an hour southbound. Turn around several miles down the road, head back up at the same speed. You know, with of course the number of stops and slowdowns being a little bit out of our control, but we'll try to make it as similar as possible between the two runs. We'll see what we get. So now, maybe a slight change of plans. I think the trucks are being a little cautious today with the high winds and some trucks up north that have been blown over. So instead of setting the cruise so that Google Maps GPS speeds telling us 75, we're just going to go 70, 71 today and kind of maybe have less disruption, follow the flow of the truck speeds, and then hopefully I can get a consistent run between this set of tires and the next set of tires. We'll check back in soon. So we're at the halfway point. We made it to our turnaround near Oglesville, Indiana, State Road 58 here, and we're gonna head back north, do the other stretch. So we have, I don't know, roughly 20 mile an hour winds coming out of the south with some pretty strong gusts. The computer says we're averaging 13.6, but of course these are the taller tires, so we might be doing actually slightly better than that because we might be going slightly farther than the truck thinks we're going, but should improve the average.
Light, turn left onto East State Road 58 East, then turn left onto the I-65 North ramp.
Should improve our average on the northbound.
Turn left onto the I-65 North ramp.
And then a little bit of two-lane highway back into the same fueling station where I initially topped off, and then we'll see what the actual true average is. Alright, so at this point we completed the northbound stretch of the interstate driving, also messing with the cruise so that the GPS would show 70 miles an hour. We're heading back towards the gas station now at this point, so the computer's telling us we've got about 30 miles in so far. I think when I map this, we should land around 40 real miles, although with these tires on, the truck is probably going to underreport that a little bit. It might say 38 miles or so, but we'll use the true miles. We'll see how many gallons we get swap the tires, compare later. And it's also worth mentioning, for all of this run, we're having the AC on the whole time, so engine's having to do the work to run the AC compressor for this whole test to be consistent. All right, check back shortly. We are back at the Circle K. This time I had to get on pump 14, and that's okay. Be more important that I use 14 again when we do the next run with the other tires. Right now the pump has stopped at 2.116 gallons, but I'm going to give it 30 seconds here, and we'll give it a chance to top off again. I'm guessing that we'll get a fair bit more fuel. Should be needing closer to, I'm going to guess 2.5 gallons for the kind of fuel economy we're looking for here. Something probably like 15 mpg. Okay, so it's been about 30 seconds. We'll give it a quick double squeeze here, see where it gets to. All right, so clicked off 2.641 gallons. We'll do some math here in a minute and see where that puts us. Okay, so if we assume that stretch was actually about 40 miles and 2.64 gallons of fuel, as we just showed, that gives us a little bit over 15 miles per gallon, about 15.15. I'll compile those exact numbers later, but it's not a bad baseline mix of some interstate, in the wind, headwind, tailwind at 70, and some two-lane driving at about 60 miles an hour with just a little bit of in-town driving. So we'll get it home, get the tires swapped, do a fresh top off, and we'll see how the next run goes. In the process of changing the tires now, so here on the right you can see that we have the Firestone Transforce AT, so technically considered an all-terrain tire. So the stock size for this truck was the 265, 70R 17. As we said, so the run that we just finished, we had these larger Cooper Discoverer tires on in a size 275 65 R20. So when you compare the diameters of the two tires, the Discoverer is actually about 7% taller. And what's interesting is that the smaller size is what's stock on the Pro trim models. And then I think this larger size, the 275 65 R20, is what's stock on Denali's and maybe some of the other higher end trims with the 20-inch wheels. And so interesting that these are both stock sizes, but so much different in size. But other thing you can see is that there's a fair difference in the tread. So while the Firestone tire is also considered an all-terrain tire, you can see that the tread is just not quite as big. Maybe bigger gaps along the fore-aft direction, and then kind of the larger lugs on the shoulder with the Cooper tire versus the Firestone. So I'll get this finished up, get all four tires swapped, make sure that I'm getting the pressure set equal. Should be 80 psi on the rear, 60 psi on the front is what I normally run. Get the TPMS resynced and get set up and get ready for the second run with the stock tires. Alright, so we came back to the Circle K, did get the steel wheels swapped back in with the Firestone tires, did do a little driving around, so now we're just making sure that it's absolutely topped off. Didn't use very much, so giving it that 30 seconds to make sure that it settles in, and then make sure that it's topped off. Probably won't put too much more in once I do this. It actually clicked the first time before I was able to even start the video, so we'll top this off now. Okay, so we actually got a gallon back in it, so it's totally topped up. We're going to go and repeat the same loop with the smaller tires and see what we get. Alright, at this point, repeating exactly the same route that we took last time. So while, you know, of course on the first run, I did have to opt for plan B to not take the trailer with us on this run. I'm just making sure I'm imitating exactly the same route. So pulled up in front of the trailer, stopped, gonna restart. Weather conditions are pretty much the same, so the sun's starting to go down, but it's still, you know, low 70s, wind still coming out of the south, 15 to 20 miles an hour with gusts above that, you know, maybe pushing 30 on the gusts. So pretty good luck to have a similar run today. We'll head out, so the same way as before, head up 2-lane highway on 31, then take 65 south, turn around, back north, get back to the fuel station. Should have about 40 miles, and we'll see if we can compare to the original result. Alright, so at this point we've made it to the southernmost point, so down here at County Road 450 South along I-65 in Bartholomew County, heading back north now. So actually the trip computer shows quite a bit better fuel economy on that southern stretch, so you know, who knows all the differences. You know, different number of trucks on the road, wind's pretty consistent, but let's see how the northbound stretch goes, and the proof will be at the pump, give or take a little bit. At this point, we finished the interstate stretch back all the way to Edinburgh, taking Highway 31 south back into town now. Getting the cruising speed back up around 60 based on the GPS here as we get out of the villages of Edinburgh and Taylorsville. We're going to head back to the same Circle K fueling station. Hopefully there will be nobody on pump 14. We'll see this time if we can get you know, something similar or a little better, a little worse than the 2.641 gallons. Now, keep in mind there's plenty of margin for error. There are a lot of variables. It's impossible to control everything. I'm just trying to see if there's a big difference between you know, the taller tires, slightly wider, that, you know, most of us like to have on our trucks, versus the shorter, narrower highway tread type tires. You know, neither of these tires are you know, as extreme as some of the big ones you see out there. You know, the very aggressive mud, snow tires, but still, these are what I have. I want to see if there's a difference before you know, the conditions change too much, and hopefully that'll help some of you out. Okay, so we're back at the Circle K. We did get on to pump 14. This time the truck thinks that we went a little over 40 miles versus the first run. With the taller tires, the truck thought we went a little less than 40 miles, but we did drive exactly the same route. So we'll, based on the map, we'll call it 40 miles even. The truck does think it got quite a bit better fuel economy this time, so it's telling us 17 instead of 15, but given that it is overestimating the distance compared to the first set of tires, we're going to say that's probably optimistic, but maybe still better than the taller tires. So we'll head out, top it off, and see what we get, see if it's more or less than the 2.641 gallons we got with the taller Cooper tires. Okay, so the pump did stop. It's, you know, at only 1.78 gallons, but we're gonna let that settle for 30 seconds or more. We'll give it, you know, a second chance to top off like we have every other time to be consistent. We'll see if it lands above or below 2.641. So here we go. It's been about 30 seconds now. And topping it off, see where we land. Oh boy. So nice clean click there. We are at 2.311 gallons. So that's a fair bit less. So put this up and we'll talk a little bit more about what this means here in a second. Okay, so what did we learn from all of this? And so of course, first disclaimer, there are a lot of variables that are impossible to completely control when you're doing fuel economy testing. So of course I'm doing a pretty short route, so then since I'm not using as much fuel, that leaves a little bit of room for error when we're topping off. If I'm off, give or take 1/10 of a gallon, it can swing the results pretty massively. But in this case, I would say where showing a bigger difference than likely the margin for error, the results make sense. I think you would expect a shorter tire, a little narrower, typically, to take less energy to push through the air. Could be a difference between the Firestone and the Cooper tires, and then of course with the tread difference, with those Coopers having a slightly more aggressive tread, again the truck has to work harder to push that through the air. But if we look back at that first result, the 2.641 gallons at 40 miles, that was saying about 15.15 miles per gallon, and so exactly the same route, 40 miles at, let's see, 2.311 gallons, that's about 17.3 miles per gallon. So again, a little bit of room for error, so maybe say plus or minus on both of those, but final result is quite a bit lower fuel consumption, so more than 10%. I'll put the exact number in the comments below, but pretty big difference between 15.15 and 17.3 mpg just by making a small change to the tires. So keep that in mind. Of course you'll still want tires that are capable for whatever conditions you need to get through, and of course tires that look good, but keep in mind that will have an impact on the fuel economy. I learned something, hope you did as well. Thanks for watching this, and have a good rest of your day.